Hey there folks, and welcome back to another episode of Bankbank's Puzzle Theory. In this episode, we're going to be talking multiplayer. Puzzle games which have between 3 and 5 players simultaneously. Yes, get hype, there's a whole bunch of them. So we're going to be going through all of the entries for the SD consoles from Mega Drive up through the Wii. And speaking of Mega Drive, first up is Columns 3. Now this is one of the most interesting and exciting entries on this list. This game supports not 4 players, but up to 5 players simultaneously. So the 3-player simultaneous game features regular sized pieces. You can also see there's a 2v1 mode. Hard to tell who the 2 players that are together on the same team are, but this has the same regular sized board as the 3-player mode. Now here in 4-player, you can see we're using reduced size pieces. However, the game board is still legible. And you'll note, unfortunately, there is no verse CPU available in these modes, unfortunately, but you can't have everything in life. And one important thing to note is how these modes, multiplayer modes, make great use of the Genesis 3-button controller layout of ABC. And you know I'm a big fan of this 3-button controller. It's never been recreated. It only exists on the Genesis. I was actually tempted, this is an aside, I was tempted to buy a Genesis Mini. I don't need it, but it comes with 2 USB 3-button controllers in the US and EU versions, and that's hype. So anyway, you use the A button, the left button, to attack the player on your left, the B button to shift your current piece, and the C button to attack the player on your right. How cool is that? And if you're on the edge, it loops around. So if you're on the left-hand side, you press A, boom, you're going to hit whoever's on the right. Really cool stuff. And we're now using up all of the Mega Drive's 320 pixel horizontal width. Next up, Super Nintendo. Actually, Super Famicom, because none of these games came out officially in English until the Switch. And we're looking first at Super Tetris 3, the first of many Tetris games. This up to 4-player mode here is called Familess, take on family, and it does not feature CPU play. It's a little difficult to tell how the attacking / garbage system works here, but it seems pretty cool. The pieces are nice and visible. I like it. I have to say I'm not a big fan of the dinosaur motif in the background. I don't like dinosaurs. And next up we have Super Puyo Puyo Su. Up to 4 players. CPU players are available, so that's the first game we've seen where that's present. Now I gotta say, these pieces look just a little bit small for me. As you know, the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, has a horizontal resolution of only 256 pixels, exactly the same as the NES. So this is looking fairly reminiscent of the Game Gear ports of Puyo Puyo. And it's also unfortunate that the garbage Puyos, the Ojama Puyos, are purple, and Compile made the decision to keep purple Puyos in the game as well. So, you know, in Puyo Puyo 1, it was a 5-color Puyo game. In Puyo 2, they changed that, so it's a 4-color game, and it switches out amongst, there's like 5 different colors, and it chooses 4 randomly. Why not get rid of 4? I mean, why not get rid of the purple altogether, folks? So anyway, next up we've got Super Puyo Puyo Su Remix. I don't know what changed in this remix. It's improved. It's got the character portraits on the field, but it still basically looks exactly the same. I think maybe the AI has improved. But it's still got the issue with the Ojama Puyos with the purple Puyo similarity. Looks too similar. It's still kind of Game Gear-ish. I mean, folks, if you were playing this with 3 other people and you're sitting kind of far away sharing one screen, is it going to be easy for you to tell what's going on your board? You better have a magnifying glass. I was thinking it'd be cool to set up like a new emulation system with 4 individual screens. That could be hype. So the next system, we're moving on. We're going to the PlayStation 1, and let's keep the momentum going with Puyo Puyo and look at the only 4-player Puyo game on the PS1, Puyo Puyo Box. Now I gotta say, folks, I think this looks great. What a huge step up from the Super Famicom versions. Very playable. And another really neat aspect Each player can choose to play in Puyo 1 mode, Zoo mode, Sun mode, or Puyon mode. Now this only affects you, it doesn't affect the other players, but still, very cool. And here we have Tetris X for PS1. To me, this looks just okay. It seems like kind of a low-effort game. Interestingly, the characters here are from the Super Famicom game Tetris Battle Gaiden. Gotta give them credit for providing verse CPU opponents. And finally, our last game for PlayStation 1 is Devil Dice, aka She. Now, I do not know how to play this game at all, but it definitely is a game. It's definitely hype how it has verse CPU play. And now we're moving on to Nintendo 64. First up, Dr. Mario 64. So I don't think people give Dr. Mario enough credit for how innovative it was back in 1990. With this game, Nintendo invented the falling well chain game. There's a quote from Puyo Puyo dev Mu Nitsani basically saying that Puyo Puyo was a derivative of Dr. Mario. This game has verse CPU opponents, it looks pretty good, and very nice! Up next is Seta's Japan-only Tetris 64. Pretty meh. No CPU opponents here. Broke our streak. Thanks, Seta. Apparently this game shipped with some sort of biometric sensor that would read your heart rate. Better go buy 3 more for when you play this with friends. And here we have Bust-A-Move 99. Now this is hype. CPU opponents are present. The pieces are a little small, but it's manageable. I'm personally not exactly sold on the merits of this game as a competitive game, but as a fun party play, it could be a big winner. Now, we're moving on to Puyo Pop 4, aka Puyo Puyon for N64. CPU opponents are available. This looks pretty good, definitely playable. There's something very annoying about Puyo 4 though. Orphan pieces drop very slowly. And saying hello to Dreamcast, we're on the same exact game, Puyo Pop 4, aka Puyon. Looking real nice, real good. 480p was a generous upgrade for the eyes. Now, I couldn't figure out how to set up CPU opponents here, so maybe they exist, but I couldn't get them in. Same annoying drop issue as with the N64 version. And here's yet another Tetris game, and it seems like a stinker. No CPU AI. You gotta give them credit though, this one is in 4 dimensions. And here's the only PS2 game in this video, Tetris Worlds. No CPU opponents that I could find. It took me about 30 minutes to get to this point, and the other 3 players still aren't even in the game. We've got some good stuff coming soon, but first, Tetris World's Gamecube. And I couldn't even get 4-player working here. It's on the back of the box. It probably works. I just gave up after 15 minutes of fiddling. Well, finally, we come to something really good. The Nintendo Puzzle Collection for Gamecube. 3 hot plays in 1 disc. First up is Panel de Pon. It's 4-player. It's got verse CPU opponents. You can play verse mode or time attack. This is just a very, very hot play. As you can see here, I did a quick little 10x chain, used up all of my tiles, and then got dumped on full screen and died. Gotta protect your stack. Next up, same disc, Dr. Mario. Seems to be an exact port of the N64 version. Everything is exactly the same. Can't complain at all about that. And here's the third game on the disc, Yoshi's Cookie. It's a decent puzzler, and it has verse CPU gameplay, so that's cool. However, the enemy attacks happen often, and they prevent you from using your cursor, which is a big no-no from a game design perspective. And here's our last Gamecube game, Super Bust-A-Move All-Stars. Note that only the EU and JP versions have this. The US version, called Bust-A-Move 3000, does not have 4 players. And of course, I could not get all 4 players working, so it's just 2-player. But you can see that it obviously supports 4 players simultaneously. A pretty fun game, and an interesting variation. Remember back in N64 Bust-A-Move 99 they had the 4 play areas arranged horizontally? And now we're on to the Wii and doing the Puyo games in order of release. First up, Puyo Puyo 15th Anniversary. It's got several modes here to choose from. There's also a PlayStation 2 version of this game that looks like it might have 4 players simultaneous, but I couldn't find it. And here's Puyo Puyo 7. I couldn't figure out how to set up CPU opponents. Looks good, nothing to complain about here. And now Puyo Puyo 20th Anniversary for the Wii. This one is the most interesting to me because it features a new custom variant called Active Mode. This mode allows you to continue dropping Puyos even when a chain is going off, so you can potentially keep extending your chain rather than just sitting there and watching it go off. This game also has a 2 vs 2 mode. Very cool stuff. This is definitely my pick out of all the Wii Puyo games. And finally, we have Tetris Party Deluxe. This game has a ton of different modes for multiplayer. Here we're looking at 2 vs 2, where each set of players is sharing a well. I love this, very innovative and unique. This game also came out as a download title on WiiWare. I'm not sure if that version has all the same multiplayer. So FYI, I didn't include 2 Wii games, Octomania, the Japanese version, Takoran, and Bust-A-Move Bash, because they use motion controls. And also, as I mentioned, Puyo 15th Anniversary for PS2 looks to have 4-player, but I just couldn't find it. And if I left anything out, please let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Bankbank's Puzzle Theory.